he was the type when he'd come out, if he was a heel, that the kids wouldn't laugh at like they do to a lot of heels today. They would be like, oh, they would be terrified of him. He was, and he told me this in an interview, he was the first American to ever introduce the power bomb into American wrestling.
Let's talk about somebody else that was in the wrestling business, somebody that I believed he's one of the giants of wrestling during my time, and that was Sid Vicious. We've lost Sid at the age of 63 after a long fight with cancer, which was something that surprised me. I didn't know he was sick whatsoever. Yeah, so I mean, to be able to keep that quiet all this time and people not to talk about it, I thought was very classy. Because to me, it's not everybody's business. You know what I'm saying? And Teddy, I know you were good friends with Sid in the beginning of his career. You traveled with Sid, as a matter of fact. Any great stories you can tell us about Sid and traveling?
You managed him too.
Yeah, well, yeah, with Sid, I had a chance to work with him. He was part of the tag team of the Skyscrapers, him and Dangerous Danny Spivey. With Sid, you know what I mean? Sid was like a big kid. You know what I mean? He was just, he got in the wrestling business. He made it, and he was just happy-go-lucky every day. And there's one story that I know me and him was riding together, so we get pulled over by the cops. Yep. So but we're not dirty. We're not riding dirty. We're clean. Okay. So we're not dirty. So we got pulled over, and I'm thinking, and Sid is feeding. Okay. So I'm thinking Sid's gonna try to be the babyface now. Maybe said, "Hey, look, I'm Sid Vicious, blah blah blah," and get this thing, get it taken care of. As soon as the police come, he lashes right in on it. What did you stop us for? What do you want? You know what I mean? So the guy said, "Sir, you're speeding." Well, the only reason why we're speeding is because the car is going downhill.
Wow.
The momentum's fault.
That's what he said. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man. Bill, any memories with Sid for you?
Yeah, I met him when he was the Masked Lord Humongous down in Alabama and in the Mid-South area where Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett promoted. He was one of these big men that with that humongous mask or without it, he was frightening. He was the type when he'd come out, if he was a heel, that the kids wouldn't laugh at like they do to a lot of heels today. They would be like, oh, they would be terrified of him. He was, and he told me this in an interview, he was the first American to ever introduce the power bomb into American wrestling after he'd seen that in Japan. Yeah. I spoke to him just a few months ago. I wanted to land him for an interview, and he said, "Oh, Bill, I just don't, I just staying with my family. I'm doing a couple of conventions," and that was it. It was a very pleasant conversation. I traveled with him at times, and he loved talking about the business. But I had heard that it was cancer, and COVID might have interfered and started to make his condition even worse. That's what I had heard. I can't confirm it, but yeah, one of the great big guys in the business. He could do it all.
Sid was one of those guys, and as I said in the opening of this, that I believed and like you said a minute ago, Bill, there's certain heels that people don't really react to like they should if a heel is being a real heel. Sid had that look. He didn't even look mean. He looked like he was off a little bit too. I mean, he was, you just didn't know what you were going to get. And he looked legitimately out of his mind sometimes. So it was even more of a reason to give you those true heel feel, that I didn't even want to say hey to him, just back away. Yeah. Let him on by, that's all you want to do.
Yeah. But he was a teddy bear, man. I mean, like I said, he was tough. Don't get me wrong, but backstage with him, man, he was a big teddy bear, and every day you could see that he was just happy to be there. That was the word.
Yeah, he was Sid Vicious. He was Sid Justice in the WWE. Yes. He was Lord Humongous. He had a lot of gimmicks, but he was a very imposing figure in the wrestling business.
Check out Brain Buster, the daily quiz that tests your WWE knowledge with winning streaks, stats, and more. It's time to see if you're up for the challenge.
Let's talk about director Todd Phillips. He's confirmed that his planned Hulk Hogan biopic that would have starred Chris Hemsworth is no longer happening. He says, quote, "I love what we were trying to do, but that's not going to come together for me," end quote. So the project, he says, is dead in the water now, but a new project that seems to be more interesting, according to Hollywood, is Killing Gawker, which is the story about Hulk Hogan when he went against Gawker and he actually had to sue him and put him out of business. They say that they think fans will be more interested in that than they will in a history of Hulk Hogan's career in professional wrestling. Bill, what do you think?
I think the Gawker thing is too well known already. I think it's been on TMZ, it's been on Inside Edition, it's been on all these shows. Personally, I think the reason that he's pulling back on this is because of all the things that are happening with Hulk Hogan in the news right now.
Yep.
I think people will go after him on the internet for having anything to do with producing anything with Hulk Hogan at this point. So that's his own choice, but I think that's what it's all about at this point.
Teddy, your thoughts on the planned project, a biopic of Hulk Hogan being canceled?
Well, I don't really know what to say. You know, kind of like Bill. You know, he's kind of been in the news a little bit here, and
Negative.
So maybe people don't want no backlash or something. So you know, I don't want to speak on it because I don't know.
He does seem to have a habit of putting his foot in his mouth too much.
Yeah, it's all negative news. It's not, good things that he's plugging the American beer, the All American beer, but out of that, things are happening where he's saying things that are inciting people. And I feel bad about that because he's Hulk Hogan. He's a personal friend that I've known forever, and he's got to watch what he says.